Yes. Can you move on to the next slide? All right. Things seem to be working now. Yeah, Barsha, would you like to continue and introduce yourself as well as your, I guess, what project you're a part of?
Yes, so I'm Barsha, and I am the committee lead for the Environmental Justice in UC Berkeley Sustainability Report Committee. We started last semester, and this is now the second semester that we're continuing our research on. Okay.
Everyone, yeah, I'm Rohit. I use he, him pronouns. And I'm the lead for the wildfire committee. Pass it to Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'm co-project lead with Brittany for the microplastics team. I'll pass on to Brittany.
Hi, I'm Brittany. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the co-lead for the microplastics team.
Hi everyone, I'm Brianna. I'm the co-lead along with Annie for the new transportation team.
And hi, I'm Annie, and Brianna and I are leading the transportation team.
All right, thank you so much. So what is SURG, right? So the STG undergraduate research group began had its inaugural semester in the fall and is an undergraduate-led research group affiliated with the UC Berkeley Office of Sustainability and Carbon Solutions, and is guided by the UN SDGs, right, or the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Through student-led research, SURG aims to take action on the major challenges of our time, expand undergraduate leadership in topics of interest, and increase transdisciplinary learning of these issues. Undergraduate researchers would join working groups that tackle an area of sustainability tied to the UN SDGs, contribute to a collaborative research report, and present their findings to key stakeholders. Can you move on to the next slide, please? So what is the Office of Sustainability, right? The Office of Sustainability is an administrative department on campus, and its mission is to foster a culture of sustainability at Berkeley and in the world, right? And we do this by planning for and integrating sustainability practices into campus operations, and by providing methods, strategies, and data for other departments and other people to do the same. We lead campus efforts to achieve carbon neutrality and zero waste, with a specific focus on renewable energy, resource saving and stewardship, and inspiring resiliency and inclusive institutional change. Moving on, the UN SDGs, right? We understand that not everyone may be familiar with the UN Sustainable Development Goals, so we just wanted to give a brief summary of like what they are, right? So the UN SDGs, also known as the Global Goals, were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 as a sort of universal call to action, right? To end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure peace and prosperity by 2030. And all of the 17 SDGs are integrated. That means that they recognize that action in one area will affect outcomes in others, and that development and progress must balance social, economic, as well as environmental sustainability. Moving on, how does SURG fit into all of this, right? I'd like to pass it over to Rohit to talk more about our goals.
Yeah, so our goal is that we strive to research local cross-cutting issues. So our research is especially interdisciplinary, and integrating our experiences inside the classroom is really important to try to do that with current events and what's happening right outside, especially in Berkeley. And so we also want to empower undergraduate voices. We want this a place where we have some sort of platform and a chance to get involved. Berkeley can be really competitive sometimes. This is a very supportive and welcoming place. That kind of leads into, we want to increase access to research on campus. So this is an alternative to do sustainability research focused specifically on UN SDG. And I think it's one of the only programs where we can fully initiate the research. So that's really awesome. So researchers will be able to join working groups to research sustainability topics. contribute to collaborative research reports, and present findings to key stakeholders, as Colin was mentioning. So I'm going to pass it to Varsha.
Awesome. All right. So the next section is just a quick overview of what SURG actually looks like if you join. So our structure is pretty loose, but we have a facilitator at the center, which is for this semester Kung, and they'll basically be coordinating between groups, connecting groups to resources externally and internally, doing more of the administrative behind the scenes tasks, and leading more of the all group SURG-wide meetings. We have community leads that it's me, Rohit, and then the rest of them that you saw. They're the new projects for this semester, and we'll essentially, as community leads, start dialogue around research ideas, coordinate individual team meetings, create the timelines, as well as helping out with the research themselves, and really spearheading the process to make sure it goes smoothly. And then we also have researchers, which is all of y'all. They'll be essentially doing the research and kind of spearheading this process to make sure that whatever the end goal is for that specific group, it gets done in the given time. And I really want to emphasize that this structure is meant to be more horizontal. It is always accepted to change depending on how many people we have and how many people are interested. So we definitely have more than 3 researchers per committee. And this semester we have more than 3 committees. But I just wanted to kind of outline, this is what it typically looks like. And along with students, each group is also mentored by a faculty mentor that is an expert in their field. So we also have some expertise to draw on from more than just students ourselves, but also some people that have done research in the past and are really passionate about this topic. And then on to Annie.
Yeah, so for responsibilities and duties, student researchers will be expected to put in about 2 to 3 hours per week. And this will include committee meetings, organization-wide meetings, and any other research that you'll have to do. So in terms of conducting research, which will be done with your committee, you'll be expected to participate in your research project through gathering data, writing analysis, and anything else that your committee might be interested in doing. You'll also be expected to contribute to the final project report and presentation, which will happen at the end of this semester for the new committees. And so the project presentation will happen at the end, and it'll be at a research symposium, and we'll report to stakeholders and community members. And in terms of club-wide events, you'll be expected to attend full club meetings to present your progress and also meet everybody else in the club. And these happen bi-weekly on Thursday from 8 to 9. And you'll also then attend professional development and faculty seminars. We'll have people, professionals and professors present, which will be for professional development and also personal development. And then we also have socials, which are super fun and a great way to meet other people in the club and people who aren't in your committee. Yeah, so those will be your expected responsibilities. And I will pass it off to Kung.
Yeah, thanks so much, Annie. So to give a quick overview of some of our past and ongoing projects, I'd like to highlight some of the work that SURG researchers started in the fall of 2020. Brittany, if you'd like to take over.
Yeah, so I'll talk a bit about the project that was completed in the fall semester of 2020. And this project was titled COVID-19 Resiliency in Berkeley. So it had a more economic focus, and our SDG that was connected to this project is SDG 8, and it is decent work and economic growth. So this project identified how the pandemic affected local businesses and how economic resiliency efforts were effective. And through this, researchers examined how harshly the economy was affected, how economic resiliency programs helped businesses with their financial concerns, as well as resiliency efforts of local businesses. And our group was split up into 2 smaller groups. The first group looked more into food security during the pandemic, and the second group looked at the connection between race and business resiliency in terms of minority-owned businesses. And this photo on the right is our report, our finished report, and you can read it at our website. So you should check that out. And I'll pass it on to Rohit.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so I'm still leading a research group right now on studying California and wildfires and within climate change. And so we have been studying how climate change has made wildfires worse, but we're also studying factors such as land use policy and controlled burning policy. And so it's just really complicated issue. And so what we've been focusing really on is Alameda County and Berkeley and what measures we can take to try to reduce it. So this coming May, we're going to be publishing both an original research report on fires using GIS mapping, but we're also going to be publishing a Berkeley wildfire vulnerability assessment. So that's going to show what strategies the school can use and the community can use that would really help reduce our risk of wildfire. As you know, this is a really visceral issue this last year. So currently we are taking research units within the interdisciplinary studies department, and we have a really nice team of students from data science, computer science, public policy, public health, forestry, and biology. And so we're hoping to present to some stakeholders in Berkeley resiliency folks at the end of the semester. So I'm going to pass it on to Varsha.
Yeah, and so for the last current project that's going on is the project I'm leading, which is Environmental Justice in UC Berkeley Sustainability Report. And essentially, we're kind of looking at how equity and justice is currently centered in our 2020 Sustainability Report, and then also trying to find ways that we could make recommendations to have more EJ in the report. So this really focuses a lot on literature review, reading the report, kind of finding pros and cons, as well as reaching out to other institutions and universities to see how their sustainability report incorporates EJ, and then drawing inspiration from there to create target and action-oriented steps that Berkeley can take towards really making sure that we center environmental justice in our report. And then we sneak previewed our comprehensive report on culture and learning at the symposium last semester, and we're planning on expanding to target more of the other 4 areas in this upcoming semester to create a really comprehensive recommendation report for the Office of Sustainability.
Yeah, thanks so much, Varsha. So moving on, I'd like to welcome the committee leads for our Spring 2021 open projects.
So as we said before, Brianna and I are co-leading the Transportation Justice and Sustainability team. So we're hoping to research the intersection between transportation justice and sustainability in the Bay Area. And so through our project, we want to identify the current injustices facing the transportation sector and discuss a transportation justice framework that can be used in conjunction with climate change solutions. So looking to research sustainable options and low carbon options for the transportation sector and applying transportation justice to those solutions. And I will pass it to Brianna.
Right, and along with that, we're also trying to look into probably minority and disadvantaged communities that suffer more of the consequences from transportation issues within the Bay Area. If you're interested in that, we'd love for you to join. And by the end of the semester, we'll basically just generate a report that covers what we've been researching for the entire semester.
So on the next slide, we have our relevant SDGs. So for number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So through the project, we're hoping to identify the shortcomings of the current infrastructure in the Bay Area, specifically the transportation infrastructure, and identifying areas where both environmental justice and transportation justice should be centered moving forward. And for number 10, SDG goal number 10, we have reduced inequalities, and so we're looking to identify the areas where we need to center transportation justice when discussing climate change solutions, and our goal is to center environmental justice and sustainability. And for 11, sustainable cities and communities, obviously transportation is vital to the health of a community and a city, and moving forward, we really need to center transportation justice in order to have healthy communities.
Yeah, and moving on to the next slide, we have our mentor. If you haven't had like a lot of experience with data, or maybe you haven't gotten a lot of experience with the transportation sector, our mentor will help us. And along with Professor Chapman, we're also reaching out to people in the transportation industry currently. So for example, people in AC Transit and BART.
Hi, so I'm Sarah and I will be co-lead with Brittany for the microplastics project this semester.
All right, so microplastics pollution is an area of research that's been talked more about in the news and media recently in the past couple of years. For example, these are a couple of headlines about how microplastic pollution is everywhere and how it's harming us, not to mention the sea life. This bottom photo is a screenshot of a paper that was recently published, I believe a couple weeks ago in January 2021. So it shows the first evidence of microplastics that was found in human placenta. So this kind of goes to show how far microplastics has gone. It's even in our tissues, in impacting sea life as well. So microplastics are small, but their effects are much bigger than we think, which is why more research is necessary and why we chose this as our topic. And now I will pass it on to Sarah and she'll discuss more about our project and its specifics.
So in short, the project we aim to look at microplastics in the Bay Area and their effect on sea life and human health. This project aims to explore the effect of on the microplastics on the local economy, human health and sea life well-being within the Bay Area and also throughout UC Berkeley's campus. In a study published in October 2019 by the San Francisco Estuary and Five Guys Institute, it was found that the San Francisco Bay Area has some of the highest recorded concentrations of microplastics anywhere in the world. So the research that we do will be really, really helpful and insightful. Researchers will examine existing microplastic studies and reports and data sets, as I mentioned before, with like an emphasis on the Bay Area and the Berkeley community. Also collect open source data on Berkeley seafood restaurants and within UC Berkeley's dining facilities. Also, once we have a team established, we're happy to brainstorm other research avenues. Like this is by no means set in place. The goals of the project is to research the extent to which local sea life is affected by the presence of microplastics. So we'll be looking at research done by local aquariums, microplastic levels in local ecosystems and organisms. And we'll also look at how the consumption of microplastics in seafood has directly affected human health. So, for example, looking at how much plastic is consumed by the average person or like student in Berkeley, how much fish is consumed through the dining halls and health effects of consuming too many microplastics. We'll now move on to the relevant SDGs.
Right, so the relevant SDGs to our project is SDG 3, which is good health and well-being. Microplastics have detrimental effects on human health since there's the accumulation by consumption of seafood, and this can cause cancers, reproductive system problems, and more. Next up, we have responsible consumption and production because the overconsumption and production of plastic products cause these pollutants to make their ways into oceans. And this is broken down into microplastics and consumed by sea life. And this leads to SDG 14, which is life below water, since many marine species have been hurt by this overconsumption of plastic and the health of sea life is compromised. And now Sarah will talk more about our mentor.
So our mentor is Dr. Scott Coffin. He's really cool. Brittany and I met with him the other day, really intelligent guy. So he's a research scientist and he is vice chair at the State Water Resource Control Board. He currently works at the state of California as the state of California's technical lead on the development of regulations for microplastics in drinking water. And he's also dedicated his PhD study to looking at the impacts of plastic on aquatic ecosystems. And he has also made very clear that he's happy to help us through any of the research process, data collection, and any surveys that we may need to do. So there's no need to be an expert in those fields. Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can reach out to either Brittany or myself. And we'll pass over to Kang.
Yeah, thank you so much. So if you're interested in either one of those open projects, either transportation in the Bay Area or microplastics in the San Francisco Bay, please fill out our application by February 2nd at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. Our application can be found at tinyurl.com/SURG sp21. The applications have a few, like short answer prompts to see what project applicants, to see what you would be best suited for and like what you're passionate about. And yeah, thank you so much for your time and interest in SURG, and we look forward to seeing your applications. Our website can be found at surg.berkeley.edu. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at surg.berkeley@gmail.com, and we also have a Facebook page. So that's it for the presentation, but if you have any questions, feel free to either raise your hand or just shout them out.